Okay, so the last one I'm going to do is these few little round dots, and I'm actually going to do them more like swirls rather than circles. And you can see that my yellow is going to, the original thread that I had there, the tail, is going to get caught if I don't get rid of it. So let's snip that little fella off. Clean it up a bit later. So a bit more of a swirl than it is a circle, just for something different. You can do circles if you want to. Everyone's okay. So doing these swirls, I just sort of go in and then come back out again. So I'll show you. And you just got to watch you don't grab that tail, the first bit you start with, and then cut off. Very hard to see, but you can see it's more of a swirl than a circle. A little bit different than a circle, but it still gives us a nice little texture. And like I said, you can do circles if you want to. You can do more of these if you want to. When you download your own pattern, you can adjust it to however you want it to be. Okay, so that is, I think, all that's stitched. So I'll just trim off some threads, and our lovely Dot will have a look over it for you so you can see. The stitching's not perfect, and I don't try to be, like I said, but I get a nice look. Well, I think I do, and I know you will too. So what we're going to do after this is actually stitch the outside bit, which will make the trapunto really stand out, and I call it a little bit of Zentangle or Zen quilting, whichever one you want to call. I am going to just trim the rest of these off. We don't take out the basting stitches until the absolute end. So once I do that, get these little tail ends of thread off, I will be back and show you how to do the last step. Okay, so the next step is breaking this whole thing up into sections. I've got two pens here. One's an air erasable and the other one is a water soluble. I'm going to use the air erasable because I'm going to do a small bit at a time. I'm using just a small ruler, and I'm going to break it up into sections. And what I mean by this is actually drawing a line across like that. Okay, I'm using this, I'm going to actually do a 1/4 inch on the other side of it. Okay, and then I might spin her around a bit, and I might break that one up to here. I'll go about a 1/4 inch outside of it. You're going to need your walking foot to do these straight lines, unless you've got a really good eye for straight lines, which I don't. I can't do straight lines to save myself. So I'm going to, in a second, just I'll do another set of lines, swap over to a walking foot, and then I will show you how to do those lines. Okay, we're back. So I've now got a lighter pink on, and I'm going to go around these other little ones, and again, like the circles, it'll be nice and quick. So stop there because I've got that thread there, and I'm just going to trim that out of the way. And if you were sewing yourself, you would definitely stop and trim that. It'll get in your way when you come around that final little bit. I'm going to trim up the rest later. I'm going around a second time just to give that colour a little bit of depth because it is very pale. And again, I'm not overly stressing about being on the same line because I want that sketchy look. Still haven't got that pillow front of my backside. I'm going to have to do that, I think. I'm going to ad-lib and put a few little lines in here. I think it looks nice on the little ones, but I am still not sure about doing any on the big ones yet. So we cut off and we move to our next little one. You can see that one. You can see that. And we'll go to this next little fella. I'm going to trim that off because it will get in my way. See, I've stitched over it. I'll have to trim it off in a second because it's going to become a nuisance. Just turn it around. Get rid of it now. So that's stitched into the flower. Now I think having a second row of the lighter colour makes it a bit better than just the first, and I think it's because the centre is so bright, otherwise it'll make that centre bit just seem so out of place. And off. 3 more to go. So that's that little fella. The next one, I might start facing myself. I can actually see better. Bounce back. Now I did draw these lines in a really soft pencil, so they will wash out. That's the first wash. But if you were to use anything like a pencil, you need to make sure you don't press too heavy, or you end up having all sorts of strife trying to get the lines off later. Alrighty, that's that one. Oops. Take that little bit off there. You see they look quite cute, just a sketchy look. Mother Nature's not perfect, just like us. So it's nice. It's nice to feel that you don't have to be perfect in everything you do. Helps bring out a little bit of crafty, creative side of you without the pressure of feeling that you need to be perfect. I say many times, I don't do perfect, I do happy. The girls in my workshops are used to me saying that. It's a bit of a mantra, and most of them are pretty glad to hear it. Makes them think of me as being more human, I think. And you see when I do those little lines in the middle, I'm sort of doing an arch. I'm going sort of in a half circle and then coming back on it. It gives you that illusion of it being going from one petal to the next. And I think we're on our last one now. And you sort of look at it and you think, oh, there's no way knowing that's going to sit down nicely, but it does. And especially once we do the stitching on the outside, all the Zen quilting type stuff, the heavy stitching, all on the sit-down machine, on your domestic machine. You can do this at home. Then you'll find that these flowers, as well as the bigger ones, will also stand out very prominently. And the background stitching will be done in a white thread, just so it blends in, it doesn't take too much away from the drawing, design. If you're after this design, those who are interested in having a copy of this design, I can email you a PDF, and that's no problems at all, because I just sort of drew it out one day. But I'm about to change my thread again, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've got my green thread threaded and needle down, ready to go. And even though I've drawn these little lines in, and they don't have a full-on curl, I'm going to just ad-lib a little. I'm not stressed again if I don't go on the lines exactly the same. The idea is to get some texture in the detail. And stop there, cut off, go to your next one. There, cut off, jump over to the next one. And you see when I first start, I sit in the same position, do a couple of stitches, that sort of ties off that end for me. And I'm only doing one row of this stitching, not two like I did in the little flowers. I've got, you can see some little circles that I'm going to do, but I'm going to do them in a different colour again. A bit of a curl on that. Come back to the centre there. Go all the way down to the end again on that one, just because I didn't want to make it too bulky in the centre there. Another big swirl. And again, I don't want to end my stitching on the swirl in that point. I want to actually come back to the end just to give it that sort of almost like a ribbon look. See more than just my hands. Video lady's doing an amazing job, thank you, Dot. Where I've drawn things, it's all very faded. Might actually have one there, might have missed. Come up here. a square corner on that one. Before I go on to the others, I want to talk to you about this here. You can see how that's gone a little bit square around that edge. That's because I've moved my hands too fast for the machine, and that's given me a square corner instead of a rounded corner. So if you ever find that your stitching is doing that, that means that you're moving your hands too fast, or your machine's too slow. Yes, it doesn't take too long. It might seem like forever watching, but you can see the whole process comes together very, very quickly. The longest part is going to be the outer stitching, because it's quite small and there's lots of it. Getting there, nearly finished. You see I've got that thread in the way. I'm actually going to get that out of the way for now. Otherwise when I go up the centre it's going to get all muddled up in that stitching, because I do a double stitching going backwards. And even though I've drawn sort of semi-straight lines in my original drawing, crease there, I have done wavy in the centre of those leaves. You can see I've got a little bit of a crease there, but that will come out with the Trapunto, so I'm not overly worried about that either. Okay, so I'm just going to go and swap my threads over, and I'll be back in a minute.